You can be an amazing, great lawyer and still have poor cash flow because it's not about the amount of legal work you do, or it's not the quality of the legal work. A lot of it really does come down to the systems that you have in place in your law firm that will actually impact the cash flow. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about a solution that law firm owners should implement to avoid a very common problem that a lot of law firm owners have. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory on this one law firm that I was talking to and how they were experiencing this problem. Now, the law firm that I was talking to is probably a great lawyer. They're respected in their community. If you look on their website, they have all of these great rewards of just being recognized as a great lawyer. They're on the Fortune 5000 list. All of these great things are going on with their law firm. They have great service to their clients, but they ran into a common issue that a lot of law firms have. And that issue is having poor cash flow. Now, when it comes down to cash flow, what I will say is no lawyer should ever be ashamed or feel like, man, this means I'm a bad lawyer. Because here's the truth. You can be an amazing, great lawyer and still have poor cash flow. Because it's not about the amount of legal work you do, or it's not the quality of the legal work. A lot of it really does come down to the systems that you have in place in your law firm that will actually impact the cash flow. Because I've seen lawyers who may not necessarily consider themselves that the best lawyers in the world, but because they had the systems that I'm going to talk about today, they were able to avoid these issues in their law firm. So go with me on this. Imagine that you're a great law firm, you're running your business and you are serving your clients. You believe things are going well, and then all of a sudden you start running into issues where now instead of being able to focus on the legal work, now you got to focus on, are we going to have enough money to make payroll? Or, hey, do we have enough money to hire the people that we need to hire? Or can we invest properly into the marketing that we need to be able to get the right types of clients? And you have all of these issues going on. And what I often find is it comes down to a lack of a system. Now, here's the area that I think every law firm should go back and look at. And if you're not too familiar with this, work with your bookkeeper to make sure that you have a process in place for this. And it really comes down to when the legal work is done, is understanding that just because you've finished the legal work, that doesn't mean that you're actually going to get paid for that legal work. First step is we need to make sure when the legal work is done, we need to actually create the bills, send the invoices out. Because sometimes what the simple thing that can solve it is clients need to know that, hey, here's how much you need to pay. Now, one of the key things about this is you want to have it actually set up to where people know, hey, the billing cycle happens every 2 weeks, or the billing cycle happens every week, or the billing cycle happens every month. Like, you need to have a very systematic way of doing this, meaning that bills are going to consistently come out on a schedule. Now, what it does require you to do is have a review process for all the bills and the invoices so you can send those out to the client, because a lot of times what ends up happening is a firm gets so wrapped up into the legal work that they don't get the bills out. And the longer you wait to get the bills out, the more challenging it's going to be for you to collect from your clients. Because if you think about it this way, for some clients, unfortunately, this is the reality, but for some clients is after their case is done, they don't feel as much motivation to pay your law firm if the case is already done. So what you want to do is you want to make sure, step one, you have a consistent billing process that as the legal work is happening, you have a schedule on when you're going to send out the invoices, when you're going to pull the money from the trust account, and then also request a replenishment of the trust if the balance is depleted. And you want to do that on a schedule. And then the next thing you want to do is After you send the invoices out, you want to have reminders, because sometimes when you send an invoice out, let's say if you send it out to an email, let's say if the email address that you sent it to wasn't the correct one, so the client doesn't actually see it to make the payment. Or let's say you send the invoice out and it got caught in their spam, or it got caught in their, I guess it didn't make it through the firewall in their email account. So the client never actually saw the invoice. So what you want to do is, I would say, is you want to have some reminders. So when the invoices go out, what I would recommend is, if the invoice is 1 day late, most of the time what you can do is set up an automated reminder in your case management tool, or set up an automated reminder in your billing system where it automatically sends them an email reminder if it is 1 day late. And then if it's 5 days late, meaning the invoice has gone out, is past due by 5 days, I would say is you want to set it up to where there is an email reminder, and if possible, you want to actually have a text reminder, meaning that they're going to get an email reminder. They're also going to get a text message that, hey, this invoice is due. They can click on this link and make the payment, because you want to start actually finding better ways to get in touch with them. Now, if it is 10 days late, then I would say 10 days or more, this is where we start to get into, hey, this should come up in conversation, meaning someone should actually pick up the phone and give them a call and see, hey, is there an issue? Are they having issues accessing the link? Or is there a concern about them being able to make the payment electronically? Or can they stop by the office and drop a payment off? Now, once it starts to get more than 20 days late, this is when I think you definitely want to bring in the attorney at a minimum, because if the attorney is working on the case, I know that it may feel uncomfortable for some attorneys to bring up the need for payment, but if they are 20 days late and you're still doing work on the case, and the email didn't work, the text message didn't work, the phone call didn't work, then I think there needs to be a direct conversation. And as I said, is if you wait until the case is done to try to follow up on unpaid invoices, the likelihood of you getting paid goes way down. And so what you want to do is, once that bill is 20 days or more late, what I suggest doing is having the attorney who's working on the case actually bring it up with them to say, hey, my team has been trying to reach out to you about getting the latest invoices paid or the trust replenished. Hey, are you having an issue accessing the payment link, or have you having an issue accessing the payment portal? And by being able to bring it up in a direct conversation, you will be able to get an honest answer on, hey, what is going on in this situation? And then if that doesn't work and you go and payment still doesn't come in, then I would say, as a leadership team, your firm needs to start looking at, okay, what is the possibility of us either removing ourselves from this case? Now, you'll need to follow the specific bar rules in your state, and you'll need to actually comply with the rules there and also whatever the judge says in that case. But if the client is unable to pay the invoices that you have sent, and they show no likelihood of actually paying, then that may be something that you need to look into, of saying, all right, do we need to actually get off this case? Now, that will be a leadership decision, and you do want to comply with the rules in your bar, or the rules in your state, and the rules with the court that you are arguing the case for. And I will say, when you have this type of system in place, what I have noticed is those great lawyers who love doing legal work but don't have this type of system in place, what ends up happening is that they end up doing all this great work and they end up not getting paid for the legal work that they're doing. So what you want to do is set up a system like this. Now, after you have a follow-up system like this, some other things that you could do that would probably help you even more is, when you actually bring on a client, is in your agreement, your client agreement, is if you stipulate in there that, hey, they must have a payment method, an active payment method on file. So when you run the invoices, you can automatically take the payment when they run the invoices. That is one thing that also helps. Another thing is where you have a billing person, or if you have a billing service. Like, I know several firms that use the company called Callbox, and what Callbox does is they reach out and they follow up on unpaid invoices, and they're doing the collection efforts ongoing, and many firms have seen a lot more collection efforts or more receipts coming in because someone is consistently following up on those outstanding invoices. And what it does over time is it reduces the amount of invoices that are outstanding, which means more cash flows into your firm, which means you have the cash flow to do the things like hiring the people you need, or investing in the marketing that you need, or whether it's investing in the resources and the tools to allow your firm to operate more effectively and more efficiently. Now, if you don't have a process like this in place, this could be a great conversation between you and your bookkeeper or your legal administrator to make sure that you have some very clear steps and process. Because what you don't want is, you don't want to be that firm that does great legal work, but you are going along and then all of a sudden problems start popping up because your firm is running low on cash. So if you really are serious about making sure you have a great firm, make sure you do not forget this system. And we're going to be talking about more topics like this all month long. So make sure you come back and check out more great content. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Law Firm and Finance Show, where we give you great content that helps you build a more successful law firm. So make sure you hit that subscribe button on all platforms and follow us for more content.